Hey, what's up? Knolly Williams here, and I have a special treat for you. Today, we're actually hearing from mentorship master Terry Maxson. Now, who's Terry Maxson? Well, I got to tell you, he's an 11-year veteran of the real estate game, but not just that. He closed 4 transactions last month. That's right. When I looked on the board, and I do this often, I look at who's doing what, who's selling what, and I looked on the board and I said, wait a minute. Terry came out swinging, while a lot of agents right now are frustrated. They're upset. They're disillusioned by this current market. Terry closed 4 deals. So I said, you know what? I've got to bring Terry to my tribe to share how he did it. What's up, Terry? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Knolly. Always great seeing you.
It's always good to see you, man. And, I still remember when you and I first talked. I think I was out of town at the time, which I do that a lot. when you and I and Lucy first got on the call together, and you were like, man, I'm not so sure about partnering with you, but I'll talk to you, but just to see what you're doing, man, God has really blessed you, bro. Briefly, let's just talk about you for a minute, Terry, before we get into the techniques and stuff of what you're doing to sell a lot of real estate. Tell us briefly, give us the 2-minute version of who's Terry Maxson. What's your background?
Yeah, Knolly, I grew up kind of in a blue collar family, and I'm sure many people can relate to that. I remember my first job at 13 years old was working on a roof for 2 weeks. Very hard physical labor. And so that's kind of how I grew up. Went on to college, graduated from college, never did go into the field I had planned to go into, which was ministry. However, I ended up in construction and started doing construction. And I was in that business for about 30 years. It was mostly commercial construction. I enjoyed it. It was a great season in my life. However, I always had this desire to work with people more in sales, and it just that door kind of closed after about 20 years in the business. I had done sales probably the last third of my career in commercial construction, and that's kind of where it brought to me to real estate. And I got the real estate bug via my sister, who was reading a book on commercial construction or commercial real estate. Once I figured out it was going to take me 6 months, a year, 5 years to close a deal in commercial, that's when I pivoted and I went into got my real estate license and became a residential real estate agent primarily.
Man, that's incredible. And just thinking about this for a minute, Terry. So you started off in the ministry, and that's kind of the way I was starting out. I still can remember when my heart was set on starting a church, doing evangelism, something to the tune of, winning souls for Christ. That's all I could think about what I wanted to do at 18 years old. And I remember when the Lord took me for a ride, and I was in my car, and he said, "What do you see out here?" And I said, I looked out, Terry, and I saw a church on this corner, a church on that corner. Go up the street, I see another church. He said, "Look, I got this field covered. I got a lot of churches out there. I need you in a different mission field. You're still in ministry, but in a different mission field." So sometimes that kind of is how it feels, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, there's no doubt. What I do, we do help people have their dreams come true in whatever respect. We are helping families, and I should say, it's very gratifying when you can help a family who thought, and they literally think that they can't buy a home. And it's very important what we're doing. People's lives, their lives change. By what maybe it could be from what school district they're in, the different opportunities that their families, the trajectory they're going to have for the rest of their lives, whether they possibly go to college, possibly in a neighborhood that's more friendly. So absolutely.
Yeah, it's incredible. Well, here's, Terry, when my viewers tune into these, they want the meat and potatoes. So I know you've already brought it. We've talked already. You said you took a lot of notes, and I know you've got those notes kind of pulled up, and you'll be kind of looking at those. But I just gotta, and I don't even know how you're doing it, so this is all going to be news to me as well. But man, I just got to know, how in the world are you closing so many properties while other agents in your area, seem to be at a stumped or at a loss of what to do? Tell us what you're doing.
Well, after, as real estate agents, we just go. Sometimes we may have a bit of a plan. We're working hard. We know what we got to do. However, after going through and Knolly reaching out to me, and as I put things on paper, two areas really stood out to me that I feel it's just important. It's what's trying to stick to the question, which is, how am I doing business in this market? One will transfer to every market, and that's relationships. And the other one is going to be mindset. So two things that I wanted to talk about, and obviously with relationships, we're talking about anywhere from your sphere, those people closest around you, your family, your friends. Maybe there's some leads that you're getting. Maybe it's through a team lead. Maybe it's some type of lead system. But the ultimate goal is you're trying to develop long-term relationships. It's not just a business relationship. But like I mentioned, you could really be affecting the long-term success of families. And so it's important that they trust you. So one of the things, I'll just go through a couple of things. One is, any lead is a way to develop a relationship. And that lead may be a deal. You just have to, you have to look at it. This is where the mindset comes in. You have to look at it more from, this lead is a chance for me to develop a relationship, not this is a chance for a deal. So that's, to me, that's very important. If I get time in front of a client, that's my chance to develop that trust. Another thing I have down is, as far as business creating and developing trusting relationships, clients, other realtors, take advantage of those relationships that you have. If we build relationships with different people, I kind of reached out after a real busy month, and I've been focusing on those people that are around me and trying to develop those relationships, giving those folks a call, and just trying to continue to build that relationship. Hey, I haven't talked to you in a while, because that's where we're going to get our business from. Those people that know us, those people that trust us, and they say, you know what, I just like Terry. I like Knolly. I want to do business with him. Yeah. And I think that's really where we got to remember that it's about relationships. And if you go into trying to reach the market in that way, I think it's just going to make the process more enjoyable for you as well.
It's interesting, Terry, that you brought that up, because I was just talking to an agent earlier today, just this morning, and he had sort of a doom and gloom sort of a mindset around it. He was like, man, nobody's selling any houses. This market is the worst I've ever seen. I've been a realtor for 8 years. Nothing is selling. My market sucks. That was his mentality. And I said, I want you to do me a favor. I said, go into your MLS and just tell me how many transactions occurred within the last 30 days in your MLS. So he said, hold on a minute. He went to his MLS, 4,238, something like that, transactions. Okay. I said, okay, so hold on a minute. Hold on a second. I said, and your goal is to do at least 2 deals a month. Okay. So you got 4,200 sales. That's over 8,000 sides. So there's over 8,000 transactions sides occurred in the last 30 days. Now you're telling me nobody's selling anything. Do you think that you could get 2 deals from those 8,000? I know you could if you had the right techniques and strategies, which is what we teach at Mentorship Masters. So yeah, I really appreciate you bringing it back to the basics of, are you staying in touch with your people? Are you loving on them? Are you calling them with no agenda, nothing in mind to try to sell them, just staying in touch? And then the law of reciprocity says that they're going to, if you let your needs be known, they're going to help you with referrals and so on. So talking again, so you closed 4 transactions. When I saw 4 transactions on the book last month that you closed, were those deals you had been working on for a while? Are those mostly from your sphere of influence? Where are those coming from?
Yeah, most of my deals are, well, they come from everywhere. Now, I mean, that's just the way we do business. I was thinking back on those particular 4, and those are long-term relationships. They weren't, but you know what? Most of those were long-term relationships that I developed. Wasn't necessarily a family member. Wasn't necessarily. No, I cultivated those relationships, and some of them might have been. It was a referral that was from another client, and it's really is about relationships.
Yeah.
I have, I find great joy in working with these people, and I think it's just important that we not lose sight of that. One thing I wanted to put out there as far as a shift in the mindset, there's a scripture verse out there that says, a man who has friends makes himself friendly. I think many times all we're doing is we're looking for the next deal. And when you're hungry, that's the challenge, right? And we have to find a way to make sure that we are always looking out for our client's best interest, not, okay, I want them to buy today. And I think that's very important.
I love it.
And one of the things I want to say, we really need to also, too, if you pay attention, we have to pay attention to deals. You have to pay attention to what people, when they're around. I've had a couple of people reach out to me. They want to get together for coffee. And I'm like, oh, geez, I didn't expect this. These aren't people that I haven't talked to in a long time. In some cases, I catch the drift. Sometimes I wasn't paying attention. And the next 6 months later, I find out that they've got their house on the market.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to make sure that we're paying attention to people around us.
Man, wow, that's big. Pay attention to the people around you that God has placed in your life, because a lot of times these are like little tiny clues, right? Yes. They're not like the big. It's not like the big, hey, come list me. It's just like, hey, let me throw you. And Scripture says if we're faithful in little, God will bless us with much. And the little might be like, hey, you saw that person's their daughter just graduated from college. Why don't you just pick up the phone and call them and see how they're doing? How's their family?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So talking about advice, we're going to kind of switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
What advice do you? Because you and I know, Terry, that there are some. I have several agents that didn't do a deal last month. They would have loved to have one of your 4. And I talk to them every day.
Sure.
And so what advice would you give to an agent right now that's struggling?
Well, I guess the biggest thing is you have to stick to your process. You got to decide how you're going to run your business. Are you just going to chase leads constantly? You got to find out what you're good at. Do you know what you're good at? There's many different types of leads, right? So how do you get leads, right? We've got, are you doing the right things? So, and my advice is find out what do you do? Are you doing open houses? To me, open houses are great. You want buyers? Who comes to open houses, right? People who are buying, people who are thinking about their houses, thinking about selling their house. You have buyers and sellers who are interested. You just got to put yourself in those right spots. I've always had very good success with internet leads. A lot of people say, don't do internet leads, cost you a lot of money. It does. It can cost you money. But if you learn something, you're good at something, don't turn away from it. Maybe open houses aren't your thing. Maybe just your family. And, if you're good at talking with your family and people like you, just deal with your family. I think you got to, during these times, I think we really got to lean into what you're good at and don't shy away from it. I think that's very important.
Yeah. That's great advice. I really appreciate it. So this is really, it really is quite simple, Terry, when you think about it. A lot of times we're looking for that silver bullet, that big explosive, and this is what you got to do. This is the breakthrough, but it really always goes back to the basics. Are you staying in touch with people? I was talking to this guy today and he says, man, he's been in real estate 8 years. And he said, I'm just realizing that my clients aren't loyal. They're just not loyal. I said, well, what do you mean by that? He said, well, they're not calling me back. They said they would call me back to, when they were ready to sell again, but they haven't. I'm like, well, and you said this word, Terry, and I want to remind the listener, you said process. What's your process? Are you being true to your process? Do you have a process? He didn't have one. So he literally has not reached out to anybody that he's ever done a deal with, yet he expects that they're just going to magically remember him. And I had to remind him, I said, from the time people sell their home about every 6 to 9 years. Now, in the 6 to 7 years since you sold them a home, they've met somebody on Facebook that's a realtor, somebody at their church, maybe at a coffee shop, maybe they at their friends or at their daughter's high school. They've met other realtors. And so if you're not top of mind, if you're not keeping yourself top of mind, then you're going to be erased from their mind. And that's the reason why, according to the National Association of Realtors, it says that almost about 88%, 86 to 88% of sellers say they would do business with you again, but only about 9% actually use the same agent. It's because we don't stay in touch. And it sounds like you've got that mastered. The basics of just staying in touch with people. This is a contact sport.
It is. I think as far as the staying in touch, I don't have it mastered. However, I continue to work at it. I mean, we all have failures. So the key is just letting it roll off your back.
Yeah.
You take responsibility. If something happens, move on. Move to the next thing. Move to the next person. But you can't sit there and dwell on it. You got to move forward. And I think we beat ourselves up as realtors quite often. And so we just have to keep moving forward. One thing, Knolly, I think that I've come to realize when it comes to just this market and what's important to people, and I mentioned this in the beginning, that people like to do business with people they like. And that's genuine and authenticity. It's very important. The definition I looked up for genuine or authentic was of undisputed origin. So when you think about that definition of undisputed origin, they're not thinking, is Knolly telling me the truth? Is he for real? No, they know that you're being honest and you're not just being straightforward. You're just being genuine. And I think it's very important in our business. The first time you can be pivot away from real estate, so to speak, when you're working with clients. Sometimes I think maybe realtors, they talk too much and they pivot away from real estate too quickly and try to talk about life or sports. They want to talk to you about real estate. However, I am talking about those times when you've been talking about real estate, you've been giving them value, and then they say something about maybe their child or something that's going on in their life. Then you can talk and you can pivot to that. Now they say, hey, you're a real person. He or she provides value. This is a great realtor, but they're real too.
Yeah.
So there's a working in relationships it's very big, and try to find common ground, I think, to be authentic about anything that you can with clients.
Wow. Well, you've been at this. Yeah, go ahead, Terry.
One thing I was going to say, I just got a little philosophy I adopted probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and I kind of it's my mantra to anybody that I work with or I'm mentoring, and that is, it doesn't cost me anything to be nice.
Wow. Right on.
Right?
Right on. Yeah. And people can see right through it, man, when you're not being genuine. We think we can mask that. Some people think they can, but the reality is the way God has created us as individuals, as people, is that we can read other individuals. We can read them. And our spirit, scripture says, bears witness with their spirit. And so the reality is, people know when you're genuine or not. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate that definition you gave as well. Really good. Really good. So I want to know, Terry, you've been in the game for over 10 years. You've been here working with me for, I guess, about a year. Is that right? Am I right on that?
Yeah, I think we're like a year and almost, we're approaching a year and a half.
Wow, how time flies. So what's new and different for you? What's been life-changing? What's been your experience with Mentorship Master? You can keep it brief and EXP.
Well, I tell you, my experience with Mentorship Masters, it's all that I wanted. For me, I want support. I want to have tools, and Mentorship Masters and EXP, they do all of that and more. So if you feel like you need to if you're working on, let's say, some forms, or you need to get brushed up on different type of forms that are in your marketplace, maybe it's agency relationships, and you can certainly go in and find classes with the EXP Academy, and go through there and look at all those. There's constant. You have big agents who are always on the icon, and they're being able to speak, and you can just go right in and click in and be a part of that Zoom. I think our weekly meetings are fantastic on the state level. If you're going to do business in multiple states, I just got my license in Florida. So I'm in 2 states, Minnesota and Florida. Seamless, fantastic. And then Mentorship Masters has been wonderful. I mean, Knolly's always there, provides tons and tons of tools and acts. Even if you've got a new agent that's coming on, it's fantastic. You can help them. Here's a tool. This is step by step how to really get your business going, even to the point of business cards. And I think that's important. And I'm just very pleased, Knolly. I'm happy to be part of your organization.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Terry. Thank you so much. And I know that you're actually building an organization as well. You're an 11-year veteran. You are closing multiple transactions monthly. And there's a lot of agents out there, Terry, that are like, wait a minute. I want to be part of what Terry's doing. I want to be part of Terry's organization because he's going to show me how to go to the pay window multiple times a month. And that's what I want for my family. So what's the best way for these agents that are watching this right now, maybe even listening on the podcast, to say, hey, wait a minute, how do I get a hold of Terry? Because, we call this Mentorship Masters. And now master has an S on the end. That means it's a plural. I'm not the master. We're all masters. Okay. And Terry is a true master. He's mastered the game. He's been at it for more than a decade. He knows what he's doing, and he's here to mentor you. So what's the best way for these people to get a hold of you, Terry?
Well, they can always email me at terry@maxsonrealestateteam.com. That's MAXSON at maxsonrealestateteam.com. Email is really good. If you want to hit me up on Facebook, can never have too many friends, right? And that is Maxson, the Maxson Real Estate Team. Or if you just look up Terry Maxson, there's a few of them. There's a few realtors out there with that name, actually. But if you hit me up, you'll see a picture of me, and I'll gladly accept your friendship. And so those are probably the best places to try to reach me.
Love it. And what we're going to do, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can go down. There's a description. In the description, you're going to find Terry's information to just click right over to him. If you're listening to this, just rewind, take notes, reach out to Terry. He's growing his organization. He'd love to sponsor you and then share with you his playbook, everything that he's doing to be successful. So with that, I've actually got another one that I'm about to jump on. But do you have any closing thoughts for us, Terry, before we end this?
Well, I guess my closing thought would simply be mindset. There's a lot of noise out there from the news, and our world is topsy-turvy, so to speak, right now. But you got to remember, people need to buy, people need to sell, whether it's a good market or not. And you just want to be there. You want them to think of you, to be top of mind when they're going to do that.
I love it. And if you can excel in this market, you will just soar in the market to come, when things get back to the quote unquote new normal. So thank you, Terry. You've been very phenomenal. Thank you for your time volunteering to help other agents succeed at a high level, brother. Thank you.
Awesome, Knolly. Have a good day.